All right, here we go. We're gonna learn how to make a game. I'm really excited about this. This is a part of a whole brand new venture for me. I'm a UX and product designer by trade. Done. I have. Let me see here. Let me get this. There we go. That's a little bit better. Maybe we can turn it down a little. Turn it down. Turn it down. Turn it down. A little bit. Okay, that's about good. So yeah, I'm a UX and product designer by trade. I've been in design for like 10 years, and I've always really wanted to make games. I got laid off recently, and so I think this is a great opportunity to broaden my skill set, become a better designer, and do something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. So I'm going to be making stuff in GameMaker because it's very good at 2D games, from what I understand. I do not have a professional license, just a personal one. We'll just be kind of hanging out, exploring that, seeing how it goes. I've played around in Unity a very small amount. But other than that, this will be completely blind and fresh. I have never really done anything in GameMaker. I downloaded it, I have opened it, I have watched a couple of tutorials, but I have yet to actually click a single button inside of GameMaker. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to make Asteroids following this lovely tutorial.
Like asteroids and
So, with that, let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to follow through step by step with this guy.
in this video we will movement this will give you
Um, okay. How do we... I mean, obviously, we're not seeing any of that stuff. Can I... Ah, there we go. Okay, right on. New space rocks. Let's go. I'm going to do it in visual. So what I'm choosing here is if we want to be coding in code or if we want a visual language. I'm going to do visual language because I have a theory on how I can learn this better. I do know how to code, but I have not been very deep into coding for a very long time. So my hope is that I will be able to use the visual side to piece my thoughts together. And then from what I understand, there's a button that will let you convert the visual flowcharts and boxes you've set up into code. So I'm going to convert it into code, and then I'm going to redo it in code. And the hope is that that will kind of connect my neural pathways sufficiently so that I can learn it a little bit faster than just kind of bashing my head against a code repository, dictionary, words are hard sort of experience. But I also won't be leaning entirely on the visual side, from what I understand gets very unruly the more complex and difficult your game gets. So I'm going to go visual to start off with. It's going to download. Okay, here we go. Typical blur. Sure. Okay, so from what I understand, this area over here on the right is all of our assets and such. So these are art assets we can pull in, or animations, or anything like that. And then over here on the left, we have our layers panel. So this is just like, these things exist on your machine. This is now they are in the game. That was very hard for me as someone who's come from Figma and a lot of other design applications, that usually those two things are merged in the same sort of place. So good to know here. Let's try and find those sprites he mentioned. There we go. Got our sprites. There's something about this guy. A big rock and a small rock. I don't know, something about this The very straightness of delivery just cracks me up. So yeah, that's him saying these are only images and they do not even exist in like a project yet. They are just assets available to us that we can bring in if we want. And so if we like bring it in here, you can see that. Get kind of a detail view, it looks like. Okay, interesting. Does it have an animation? Okay, so it must just by default have animation sort of stuff. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. So, let me do this real quick. Realize there's a much better spot for my video to go. Okay. So, I need to return back to this guy. I missed the last like 10 seconds. I'm going to let me see. This is how I live my life. This is what ADHD looks like. Okay, so what we did there, we just made objects in here. And from what I understand, objects are one of three main different types of assets for GameMaker. There's like objects, sprites, and uh, something else. I don't know. So I guess what we just did there is we made objects inside of just a folder, which we happen to call objects. And then it asked us how many we want to make. So we could, I guess, bulk creating assets probably happens a good amount of the time, it sounds like, in this, which is why they would have that be so easily accessible. Easy. Okay. This is annoying. So as a professional, I would love for this name and this name to be very similar because this name is just going to have ambiguity, this rock name. I would definitely name the sprite just normal rock or name this rock big. I get that it doesn't have to be big because you spawn it in by default at big, but just for clarity, like in case you get moved off the team or someone else has to come on, just making that easy for that handoff. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna guess. Let me see if my guess is right. We're gonna make a small rock for this last one. So we're making objects. We are assigning a sprite, a visual to them to tell the game this is what it looks like. These are the dimensions of it. And these are just random objects floating in the ether. I'm kind of curious why we have this visual space. I guess that will make more sense later. We also have workspace, and then I can do like extra workspaces, which probably is helpful. Can I rename them? Yes. Okay, right on. Cool. All right. Ah! Dang it. It wasn't rock small. OG game. And then, okay, so I'm assuming there's a way we can remove this. Okay, just select none. Yeah, okay, right on. Room. That's the third type of asset in GameMaker. That's right. It's objects, sprites, and rooms. Okay. Good to remember. Oh, ads. Boo.
layers here, and the one where you want to put your objects is the instances layer. So select that, and then from
All right. What was that? Hold on.
to go into a layer. You can see all of your layers here, and the one where you want to put your objects is the instances layer. So select that, and
So is background just this grid? Okay, it's black. So the grid is like a system thing. The black is layer. So let's lock that. We're not going to want to touch that. Okay, now why is that locked? Why is it locked? Is that just the indeterminate state? Ugh, that's annoying. I guess it would be hard to come up with an icon for an indeterminate lock, but that's still really confusing. Same story with visibility. Yeah, it's just on, off. Okay. Cool. So we have instances. Instances is, I guess, then just meaning stuff. This is where stuff goes. I'm sure that gets more nuanced the further in we get. Like, I'm kind of curious why we're not making like asset layers and stuff like that. I'm curious how they define instance. Let's keep learning. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
then from your objects, drag the player into the room. I'll also drag some rocks and place around 6 of them. Now something interesting here is that each rock you placed in the room is an instance of its object. So here there are 6 instances of the rock object, and that's why the layer is also called instances. So from objects, you create instances.
Okay.
So here there are 6 instances of the rock object, and that's why the layer is also called instances. So from objects, you create instances.
Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. So the object is like the parent master object, I guess. And that lines up with programming terminology too, object-based programming. I'm coming at it from a design space. If you're in Figma, then you'd probably be calling these symbols or components, and then we'd have the instances of them. So if I change something in rock, so for example, if I come in here and I change the rock sprite to be the cursor, when we come back, we should see a whole ton of cursors on the screen. There you go. That's why. Okay. Perfect. Understood. Patience. It's good.
If you run the game right now, you'll see what you put in the room, but nothing moves at all because we haven't programmed our objects yet. So back in GameMaker, let's...
Woo. Okay, so it is not as simple of a transition as he is making it out to be when you just click that play button. It does not happen so fast. So let me get this window capture up. Yeah, perfect. Transition. Okay, so this is what it looks like. We get this big thing. Do that. So there's nothing I can do because obviously nothing has been built yet. We just have pictures on a screen. Cool. So now if I end this, will that close it on the stream? And if I hit play again, will it bring it back up? Perfect. Oh, right on. Cool. OBS has come a long ways over the past 4 or 5 years since I last used it. This is great.
close the room and double click on OBJ player to open it. Now click on add event and add the step event.
Add event step. So is step going to be like how movement works? Is this like a controller in Unity or something. We're gonna use visual and hope convert to GML code. Okay, that's the button we're looking for to make sure. So we can like add in stuff. And none of that does anything, but we can convert it to code. One-way conversion from GML visual to GML code. Okay. And then it will have it all written out here, and then I can try and repeat that code, type it myself. So we have variable equals 346. And this is exactly why I'm doing this, because I already have typos. Ah, okay, and then we can do this. We just do variable. Great. I'm curious what that yellow line underneath is. Oh, we can add comments. Is that what that feather means? Or is that an error? Instance variable declared outside of create event, declared with var, or moved create event. Interesting. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but right on. Cool.
If you're asked to choose between GML code and GML visual, select GML code if you want to write code, or select GML visual if you want to use visual blocks to program your game. Then enable Don't Ask Again for this project and hit OK. Now this is an event. You can program this event to, for example, move your ship, and that will happen every frame because this is the step event. It runs at every step. Different events might run at a different time. Let's program this event now. Now if you chose GML visual, look to the left, or if you chose GML code, then look to the right. In the event, we first want to check if the up arrow is held down. If it is, we want...
Oh, that's weird. You can't just click it. You have to like drag it in. Very interesting. Okay. Okay, so B key underscore up. I'm assuming that means like virtual keyboard or something. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we're gonna assign something to the up, and I'm assuming down, left, and right as well. Does that mean like what if we want to do arrow keys and WASD? What if I want to use both? Am I gonna be able to have if? Can I just assign multiple buttons to the function? Can I say key up or W? Or will I have to or will I have to create a new key down that is also that just have like everything repeated twice? I hate to do that. That sounds really bad, but like if that's what we gotta do, then okay. Ord W. Ord. I wonder what. There's no way Ord is short for keyboard, right? That's that yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
The ship to move. So to make the ship accelerate forwards, we want to do this. But keep in mind when adding this action in GML visual, make sure you're dropping it to the right of the green action. And that's because the green action is a condition and you can attach actions to it, and those actions will only run if the condition is true. So attach it there.
So movement. We have this whole thing here. Set direction fixed. Set point direction. This is the sort of stuff that I love kind of like diving into. Like, what does each of these do? What do they mean? All right, so we're going to add motion. He's saying it's important to attach it. So if I just like put it over here, yeah, that seems like it's still working. You said make sure you drop it to the right. Oh. So we've got this direct line. We've got a squiggly line. Is the direction that you put it in gonna determine like how its relationship is? Man, there's so much to learn here. Can I rename this? No. that would be the big benefit to visual for me is like, can I logically organize things? Or if I could have these sections and then dive into the code inside of each section just so I can visualize it. That's always been one of my big problems with programming is like your only direction you can go is down. There's like very little spatial reasoning you can bring in with it. That would be awesome to have like a best of both worlds sort of scenario. Maybe there's a way to do it. If so, I would love to learn that. I think that would be really powerful.
And here we are running the motion add function. This basically adds motion to the instance in a particular direction, and that direction in this case is the image angle of the instance. That's how much the sprites of the instance has turned around. So we
Okay, so if it starts at 0 for the image angle, then I'm assuming we're gonna have a rotation happen on pushing left or right, and that will affect image angle. So instead of saying like direction 20 degrees right here, and then as soon as you push this button, it always moves in 20 degrees that way. This is assigning it a variable so that it can stay updated and continuously move. Got it. And then speed 0.1. Okay.
add motion in that direction, and the amount of motion we add is 0.1. So you can change this if you want to make the ship slower or faster. This will make your ship move, but you can't turn yet, so let's work on that. Let's add
There
a
you go.
condition to check if the left arrow key is held down.
Oh, okay. So he just dragged a new key down to the left, which does this. So that's what that blue line is. It's an if statement. If you're unaware of how if statements work, it is a like, if this happens, do this. If not, do this. If not, do this. If not, do this. So this is a sequential visualization. So if this green swirly line, do this. Or if this, do something else. So this is going to be left.
In that case, we'll increase the image angle variable by 4, which will turn the sprite to the left. Then we check if the right arrow key is held down, and in that case, we decrease the image angle value by 4, which will turn the sprite to the right.
Oops. Wait. Hold on. This is why I want to rename these guys, because I saw down as like, there we go, as like arrow key down, not like the name of the function that we're calling here. Okay. So so we've done left. We want to do right. We're gonna, can I like copy and paste this? Oh, cool. Right on. And then I'm assuming there's gonna be -4. Yeah. Okay, that's what he put down. Oh, and he's checking off relative. Oh, interesting. Oh man. Okay. Okay. So this is, if it is unchecked, we are saying set variable to 4. And I need to change the name. Image underscore angle. And that's a GameMaker engine built-in previous thing. This is not a variable I am creating. So, image angle, if it's not relative, will be set to 4. If it is checked, that means it will add 4 to it. So, if we watch this, if I push left, the ship should slowly rotate. Yeah? But if I push right, it's going to automatically warp back into a slightly angled to the right version. Yeah? There you go. All right. Cool. So that's relative or not. Perfect. Awesome. That's good to know.
So run the game and you can now move and turn. It's almost perfect, but the problem is that if you go outside the room, you're basically lost. You never come back. We want to wrap around the room, so if the ship goes out from one end, it comes back from the opposite end. So for that, back in the step event, just add this outside of an.
Let's take a look. I know the search bar is up here, but I kind of like familiarizing myself and getting my brain loaded with all of these different icons and categories so that like when I'm going through the project at a later time, if I don't have a tutorial to tell me exactly what to do, you know, I'm trying to solve a problem, it can click and get me back. Or my brain can make a connection and say, oh wait, didn't I see something about switches, like case switches or looping? That's actually good to know. Is there a I wonder, I was thinking about this last night. Are there when statements? No. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to know, like, can I set it so that when a variable equals 1, it's true, then do this? But it looks like that's not the case. Or at least not under that specific name. Okay. And oh, it's not showing the category that flow is in. That's okay. If we don't find it really quickly, then we'll just search for it. But I'd like to find it. Movement. Okay. Wrap around room. Snap an instance's position to a grid. Oh. Jump to the instance's start position. I'm curious what that would be. Jump to point. Okay. Jump to point I can understand. That's like, you know, for example, a teleport, right? You step into one space, you are now instantly in another space. So we're gonna wrap around room as another if. Okay. Okay. Something that's important to note with add motion is it's not just moving in a direction, it is assigning inertia to it. It seems like there's like physics in relation to it. Let me check this out. Yeah. So I just tapped, push the one button, and so now we're in space, right? That's how this works. It's just gonna keep going. And then it wraps. Cool. That did seem a little janky. How many times can I keep pushing up and speed it up? So that's not great. Cool.
Any conditions. This enables wrapping horizontally and vertically, and if you run the game, you'll see it in action. You now can't exit the room at all. And with this, our first step is finished. We
Cool.
got the ship to move and turn, and now what we're going to
Right
work
on.
on is shooting and destroying the rocks.
I mean, there's a lot to be refined.
And I'm here in the North Pole to remind you the.
There's a lot to be refined on that movement, right? You need a way to slow down. You need a way for that inertia to like wear off over time. Yes, we're in space, and no, that's not how space works, but that's like how you would expect it to function as a player. This is where usability comes into effect. So you need a way to slow down automatically and on purpose. That's going to be really huge. I'd love to try and get that wraparound feeling better because it feels really chunky when you do wrap. You know, you're coming up here, and then like halfway through your sprite, it just cuts instead of being a full wrap. I don't know. I feel like I wonder if that margin value. What would happen if we increase the margin value to like how many pixels is this? Can I get like a properties thing here? Sprites, sprite player. Okay, so it's not in here, but it is in here. So we have 64. So what if we do like, assuming that it's cutting it off right in the middle. Oh, origin, 32. That's probably what it is. That's probably what the problem is. It's as soon as the origin leaves the frame, right? So like let's put this at 0. Let's see what happens then. Yeah. So that feels really, really good. Except for when this happens. And then we skip. And the skipping is even worse than before. So that's why it's in the middle. There's got to be a way to do what I'm wanting. Something for another day.
Now to add shooting, we want to create an instance of obj bullet at the ship's location when we press the left mouse button. So back in the same step event of the player, let's add.
Oh, we're still in the step event of the player? Okay. So then, now, okay, so this is interesting. Looking at the difference between code and visual. These were all ifs, right? If keyboard check, if keyboard check. These are ifs. But then we just have a standalone move wrap, which is interesting. I'm used to like objects and symbols, right? Or symbols and instances, objects and instances, where like you have a separation of concerns, right? In web dev, you have like your JavaScript, you have your CSS, you have your HTML, and I mean, it makes sense that you can't have like everything separated out as much as I would really like that in a lot of ways. It just feels weird that it's just kind of like hanging in the middle of nowhere to me. I haven't quite wrapped my head around that model. Because it's going to start at the top and run to the bottom. And granted, it's a computer. It can go from top to bottom really, 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 really fast. But it still feels strange to me. And I don't know if that's just my mental model is wrong, or if there is a better way to organize this sort of thing that they would do if this were a more advanced tutorial and not, you know, trying to get someone making a game within 15 minutes, which we're definitely failing at.
Add another condition to check if the left mouse button was pressed. This only checks if the left mouse button was just pressed, so holding it will not continue to fire.
Okay, now this is interesting. We're going back down. And it's the same over here, where they have that line coming down instead of coming like a bracket out and around like a flowchart would be. I wonder why. Is that a... Okay, yeah, we can't like nest this inside wraparound room, right? So can we move this all the way to the top? And then, yeah, and then it changes it. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and zoom in here.
If the button was pressed, we create an instance.
Okay, so then we create an instance. Create instance, that little light bulb. Ah, create instance. Okay. I wonder what not is. Oh, is like if the left mouse button is ever not being held, then make it an instance. Okay. I hate this control methodology anyways, I'm not gonna lie. If you're gonna be shooting 100% of the time, there's no reason why you shouldn't be shooting. Just have it shoot by default, right? Like, don't make people knock their hands into physical therapy land just because you want them to engage. Okay. Weird. Okay. Well, that's something I'll have to figure out another time. How to take phone calls while I'm streaming. Let's see, can I scoot you over at all and have that not be quite so obnoxious? Okay, right on. Okay, so we're creating an instance. I'm assuming our object is going to be bullet. That was lucky. I clicked through way too fast on that. X, Y. Let's see. Let's go to our. So if I do this, see, how did I? I'm trying to get to where the. Oh, right, that's where I saw it. Okay. Okay, so let's stretch that out a little bit. I can't move it. It's so frustrating. All right. So, what I was doing there was I was trying to figure out, okay, so what are these relative buttons? What do they mean? And I was trying to find this panel and it just completely got blinded. Okay. So create object bullet at X and Y. Yeah, because if it's at 0, 0, I'm assuming that would be the upper leftmost corner of the room. And that's not what we're looking for.
Of OBJ
X and Y.
bullets
Okay, yeah.
will be created at the location of the player
Instances.
and the instances layer.
I don't know what.
Yes, you can now shoot with the left mouse button, but of
Target
course
or
the
temp
bullet
are.
doesn't go anywhere because it's not programmed to move. Let's go into OBJ bullets and here add the create event. This event only runs once and it runs when the instance is created.
Okay. All right. So you can click and hold to fire infinitely fast. That's going to be a problem we have to address.
Let's go into OBJ bullets and here add the create event. This event only runs once and it runs when the
Okay. OBJ bullet. Add event. Create. Don't ask again for this project. Visual. Okay. Let's see here. What you're hearing right now is my daughter trying to get out of quiet time. We got another 12 minutes before quiet time is over. Or rather, 22 minutes. All right. Just calling out to her to see how she's doing. All right.
instance is
Go on.
created.
So yeah, the create instance is when this thing is made, when it is created, do something, right? Okay.
In this event, we are going to set the speed of the instance to 10, so it moves in its direction at a speed of 10 pixels per frame. And then we are setting the direction.
Okay, so is this number, this value, always pixel measurements? Is there a way to change that visually? And he's got just 10 over here. He's not like declaring 10 pixels or 10% or anything. So it must just be that. Okay. Now he got some extra stuff in here. Is this plus sign? Oh, we're adding. Okay, so we can declare multiple variables all at the same time. Got it. So built-in variable direction. Okay, cool.
To the image angle of the player. So the bullet moves in the direction that the player is facing in.
Love that
You'll be able to
autocomplete.
shoot moving
Oh, wait,
bullets
hold on.
that the player is facing.
Ah, ha 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 ha. Object underscore player dot image angle. Okay, so what that means, for those of you who are not code initiated, that object underscore player is referring to the object of the player that we have already created. It's what you think of as the player, right? It's that little ship that looks like a cursor. And then when you hit dot, this is classic object-oriented programming. Dot is saying there is something that is attached to the player object. And what is going to follow this dot is that. So the player object has a whole bunch of different parts that like represent the whole player. there's the image asset, there is, in this case, what angle of rotation is it at? So by saying object underscore player, we're calling the specific thing we're wanting to reference, and then dot, now we're saying there is a part of this that we want, and we want the image angle value from it. Okay, cool.
Again. Now you will be able to shoot moving bullets, but once they go outside the room, they'll continue to exist forever, and that's not good. So once they go outside the room, we want to destroy them. So in the events, add a new event, go under other, and select outside room. In this event, let's simply destroy the
One quick second. All right. Guys, if you don't have kids, they're great. I've never been a parent type sort of person in my life. My goodness, I love that little girl. Okay. So, I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit. Where are we at?
and select.
Okay, that's right. We're making a new event. Other outside room. It's interesting that create is this outlined light bulb icon, and then other is a filled light bulb icon that doesn't have the that little shine on it that the outline has. There's not like a black silhouette where that would be. It's interesting. Okay, sorry. This is my UX and product design getting in the way of learning. So other outside room. And then I'm going to guess there's some function here that will say destroy. Okay, destroy a position. Destroy all instances at a position. Destroy an instance. I'm assuming we can just do that. Yeah? I guess we don't really have a way to validate that that's working or not. Because like there's not a debug or anything in here. That's interesting. On the streaming, I'm not seeing the bullets firing. In fact, I'm not seeing anything change at all. Oh no! Well, why is that? How about that? No. My goodness. It's still not... Well, what is happening here? Now I need to figure this out. How bizarre. Yeah, because we don't want the GameMaker screen. But we do want... Okay, so what happens if I do that and then hit play? Is OBS going to pick this up? Oh, crap. Oh, dear. We have double problems. There we go. Okay, so that's GameMaker and that play. There we go. I gotta change my thing here. So what's weird is that it's like it's picking it up as like, yes, this exists. Because now you're displaying it. And you're capturing my cursor on top of it. But why Why aren't you updating? Well, that's a bummer. You probably haven't been seeing any of the things that I've been doing. That's a major bummer. I guess I'll have to figure that out after the stream. What a bummer. You won't get to see all the debugging. Okay.
Outside room. In this event, let's simply destroy the instance. So when the bullet does go outside
Instance
the room,
destroy,
it's
okay.
destroyed immediately. Run the game and you can now shoot freely wherever you want. So you've got the core parts of your game finished, and what we'll work on next is destroying the rocks. Before we try to destroy the rocks, let's give them some life by making them move around. So open obj rock and here add the create event. In this event, we'll tell the rock to move in a random direction. First of all, let's set the speed to 1 so the rock moves at a slow pace, and then set the direction to a random value between 0 and 10.
Now, this is interesting too, is that we don't need to like clarify what these are. I'm used to like HTML classes and IDs and stuff, and you always want to make that really descriptive. I'm assuming that we can name all of these the same name of speed because they're all nested within different objects, and so there's no danger of it like referencing the wrong kind of speed unless we are calling the wrong object, in which case that's just on us. Okay, so we have that, and then we're gonna get a random number. Cool. That's actually gonna be really helpful. I have a project idea for far in the future. There was actually a board game that I spent a long time developing, and now I want to digitize it because I think it would work really well as a digital experience. So this is going to be a pretty important piece of that pie. Maximum 360. Is that because this is going to get assigned to an angle, not a speed?
360, which is a full circle. And then I'll also set the image angle to a random value. So the rock will...
Okay. So we're assigning, yes, the vector of movement, the direction. And then we're doing another one, which I'm assuming is going to be image angle. Oh, he's got it written down in the code already. I didn't notice that until after I already said it. All right. So within any point within a circle, it will move along that vector. And within that point, it might also be rotated and moving at any given angle. Okay, got it.
will move in a random direction, and its sprite will also rotate with a random angle.
Cool.
We also
It's a shame you can't see that. It looks really cool.
Just like the player, so they are not lost when they exit the room.
Okay.
So
We're
let's
gonna
add the step event here, and in the event, run the same function that we did in the player. However, this time we're going to set the margin value to 100 instead of 0. This means that the rock will only jump to the other side of the room when it's more than 100 pixels outside of the room's boundary.
This is the solution to my problem! Oh, man. Okay. Hold on. Chill the beans, everyone. All right. So let me go to the object player. Okay? And then it's wrap margin. So if it's 34 pixels and we are halfway through, so we need to take half of, so 17. Hold on. Thank you, sweetheart. All right, let's do this thing. Let's jump back in. Okay.
Boundary.
Oh, right. No, yeah. Did we just fix our problem where it'll only fly off the screen? Oh, that looks so much better. Hold on, let me retry this because I was moving way too fast. Did that solve the problem? Because theoretically, that should mean it only wraps when the entire sprite is off the page. Okay, it's not quite the entire sprite, but it's pretty dang close. So, yeah. That's looking way smoother. That's looking great. Okay, cool. So we can come back down to what we were actually doing, the rock event.
Now in the same step event, we are also increasing the image angle value by 1, so the rock continues to rotate, and it also looks a bit more realistic.
Oh,
So run
okay.
again and you see the rocks moving. When they go outside the room, they come back from the other side,
Oop.
just like the player.
We got an error on rock. Oh, of course. Okay. Because the problem is it threw up a big error saying, "Hey, you need to look in here somewhere. This isn't good." And of course it isn't good because I have I'm adding 1 to variable, which does not exist. So we need to change that to image angle. Let's try hitting play. Cool, compiled, everything's spinning. You can't see it for whatever reason, but it looks fantastic. Wow, that's so frustrating. I can't imagine why that is. Oh, there we go. Okay, I had to change the capture method. I don't know why changing it to Windows 10 instead of the other thing is the fix, but nonetheless, here we are. Look at us. We're shooting bullets. They're all getting destroyed, and then we'll smoothly wrap. Oh, looking good. Looking good. Cool. Right on. We're getting near the end here. This is great.
Okay, so how do we destroy the rocks? When a rock and a bullet collide, we want to create a particle effect and then change the rock. So if it's a big rock, it becomes a small rock, and if it's already a small rock, then it respawns as a big rock. This way your game never ends because you never run out of any rocks. So let's go into the obj rock object and here add a new collision event.
Collision event. Okay. Oh, and I'm seeing this column spacer here. Okay. So we have objects, events, and then the contents of that event is how they're structured. Yeah, like this would be so nice to maintain this visual side and then be able to jump into the code when I actually need to like write something complicated. Because I love having this spatial awareness of everything. I wish I could click and drag. Oh, I can click and drag. Oh man. Okay, so here's what I'm wanting. I want to have different sections. So I can say like this is the cursor. This is all of the player related stuff. And then this is enemy related stuff. And then this is game related stuff. Because then, oh my gosh, now I have like this big word saying player and kind of a header thing here saying player object and bullet object. And then over here, enemies. And I have all my assets and everything. And I can just really quickly zoom into wherever I want to go. And I can even see how they might like interact. I'm assuming there might be a way to like plug stuff into each other at some point. I don't know. I would find that crazy helpful. Let's go over here though. We're in the rock. We're gonna add a new event. We're gonna do a collision. Objects. I'm guessing we're gonna do object bullet. And let me try and go a step or two ahead to see if I'm understanding the concepts correctly. I'm assuming we're going to destroy the instance. And then I assume we're also going to, oops. Self other all objects. Okay, cool. And then I assume we're going to create an instance. Can we do this? And the object is going to be small rock. Do we not have an object for that yet? Okay. Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way. Let's see here.
With the obj bullet object. This event will run every time the rock is in contact with a bullet, so you can program what happens when they interact with each other. Now in the event, we first of all want to destroy an instance, but the instance we want to destroy is the bullet, not the rock. So we apply it to the other instance. The other
Oh, because this is referring to the bullet. So everything in here will refer to the bullet. Okay. So we're destroying the other, and I guess other is just shorthand for this. Oh, sorry for bothering you. Oops. Oh dear. How do I unpin it? Oh dear. Oh well. Can I like clear chat? Ah, perfect.
in this case is the bullet because that's what you're colliding with. After that, we are creating an explosion effect above all objects.
Okay. So he's adding a little bit of chroming to it. Sure. Um How do I delete this? Delete this message. Okay.
So we can see it, and it's created at the rock's location because the rock is the one being.
Okay. So let's jump back into actual game making. Let's do a fact. So we'll sandwich it in here because I'm sure we're gonna have to make the new rocks at some point. So type explosion. Is this gonna come with like pre-built particle effects and stuff? Where above the object, sure, because if it's below the object, then it will, I mean, it probably won't matter in a 2D game with such black and white colors. Probably wouldn't be able to tell if something is above or below, but if it's below, then, you're gonna have the rock here and the explosion here, and you're looking at it, top down, it would look very strange. So putting the explosion on top covers the rock, which is kind of what you would expect from an explosion. We're gonna make it medium, of course, and relative. Okay, so you could have it not be relative and say every time you hit a rock with a bullet, have like some little UI score marker explode, up in the corner of the map or something. Okay, got it.
being destroyed. The size of this is medium and the color is white.
It's interesting that we've got a dollar sign there instead of hex. That's probably some code thing where a pound sign or a hashtag would, for the children out there, would interfere with how the code compiles.
Then we are again changing the direction of the rock to a random value so it moves in a different direction after being shot.
Okay, now that's different than I would have expected. Getting a random number, 0 to 360, and we want this to move in a different direction. So this is going to be what? Image angle? No, direction. I need to put in my head when are we using image angle and when are we using direction? That's something that's a little unclear to me. I need to figure that out.
Right now, if you run the game, you can shoot at a rock and see the particle effect. So what's remaining to program now is how this changes into a small rock. Back in the same event, let's add a condition that checks if this is a big rock by checking its sprites. If it
Oh, this this is now making sense. Okay. That's okay, so that's why this is object rock, not object big and small rock. So I of course need to eat my words at the very beginning of like, oh, you should name everything right. Because what they're doing here, which is something very outside of what my normal field considers and how they build things, is they have one parent object for the rock. And then I'm assuming once we hit it, we're gonna say if it is a big rock, change the sprite to be a small rock, and then it'll probably copy itself and move in a different direction. So let's check that out. So let's go find our if variable. I think I saw that up here. If variable, there we go. So if variable sprite underscore index, I'm assuming that's a pre-built thing from GameMaker, not native to the asset pack that I downloaded. I'm assuming that is built into GameMaker. So if it is, and then if I delete this and refer to sprite, so we're trying to get to our file name. Okay, there we go. So we have, so if it's a big rock, then
we want to change it into a small rock by changing its sprite.
Okay, yep. Exactly what I thought it was going to be. Cool. Okay, so we're going to change it into a small rock. What would relative do in this case? At frame 0. What would that matter? What would that matter? Frame 0. I guess I don't know what it means when it says at frame 0. Is it frame of yeah, I don't know. I don't know what frame would be referring to in this instance.
And then we copy that instance. So we get two small.
Okay, so then we have function call, which is a circle with 2 arrows in it. It's not seeming familiar. I'm assuming it's down here with the more esoteric and boring stuff. I love the color coding on all this, by the way. Oh, now I get it. Okay, so red is create, blue is start, green is conditional, and then yellow is, why is that not blue? We have set, and then get. Okay, so this is get versus set. Got it. Okay. Cool. The visual language is starting to make sense. Lovely. I mean, good job, designers. Frankly, whoever built this had a really tough job, and they have done a pretty good job of it. So, okay, function call. Function call. Is it really like way up at the top and I totally missed it? Of course it is. Common. I just thought like the beginning stuff would be more like, you know, concrete, objects, setting attributes of them, movement, all that sort of stuff. And then the more kind of, you have to know it in order for it to do anything for you would be down here. And like function call isn't going to do anything unless you know what function you're going to call or anything. You can't just say, oh, set direction, set movement. You know, it just feels a little bit different. All right. Right on. Okay. So we're still nesting inside of this if, set the sprite, and we're going to instance copy. Once again, I'm assuming this is a game engine, GameMaker thing.
Rocks in the end.
Okay, so we're passing it a Boolean. So it takes a bool. Okay. And then target.
Then we add an else. This will run.
Interesting. Okay, so we're not going to deal with target or temp over there or whatever that means. All right. Right on. So then we're going to grab an else. And I'm assuming what this is going to be is if it is equal to a big rock, change it to a small rock. Otherwise, else, Good. That's exactly what we would expect. And then I'm expecting a destroy instance off of this with like another particle effect.
If the previous condition is false, meaning the rock is small. And after the else, we add another condition to check if the number of rocks in the room is less than 12. We are doing this to make sure that there aren't too many rocks in the game, making it too hard. So we are limiting the number of rocks that we can respawn. So in that case, we are going to set the sprites of.
Okay, so we need to pass it an argument. Okay, so let's jump in again. Instance number 12. Or, no, what am I doing? Object rock. Okay, cool.
Of the rock.
Sweetie, do you want a different show? You want Blippi? Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll get some Blippi set up for you. We're only going to watch a little bit of Blippi, and then we're going to go clean your room once I get this game all built, okay? Hold on, you can't climb up. Sorry, sweetie, you got to stay down there. Do you want this one?
I want this.
Okay, go ahead and take that. You are so welcome, sweetheart. Okay, so if the number of rocks is less than 12. Oh, and that's why it's even more important for them to both be on the same object. Because, okay, because if we had different objects for rock big and rock small, then if we were trying to set a limit on how many there could only be X amount of big rocks and Y amount of small rocks, or you'd have to like combine and like add the number of each of those, set each of those to a variable, and add them together and then check it, which is just like, it's just more complicated. There's a simpler way to deal with that. So, okay, great. So if object rock is less than number 12, sprite index equals big. So we're going to set the sprite. Why are you saying empty? Set the sprite to rock big. Now, why are you empty? Less. This doesn't seem empty to me. Why are you empty? Okay. Why are you empty? Okay, so let's see what code he brings up.
To the big rock, and then we are changing the X or the horizontal position.
Oh, whoops. Huh. Right. Okay. Yes. There we go. That's what it was saying. It was saying if we're checking if something is happening, but then like we don't do anything with it. That's what the empty meant. Because I had accidentally had this as like if, so if this were code, it would say if this thing is true, and then a big empty space here, and then set sprite. So now we dragging it over. There we go. All right. And we're also going to set a variable x, which we are referencing in many other places. So we have built-in variable x there. I'm glad it says built-in. That, for some reason, that was a really hard thing for me when I was first learning how to program, was like, what is a system thing and what is not a system thing? Okay, so we're gonna set it to -100, and I'm assuming what this is supposed to do is taking this big rock, when it gets hit, turn into a big rock, or rather, hold on. Else, if variable instance of rocks is less than. Okay, so what we're checking is this a big rock? If so, we're gonna do all this stuff. All this stuff. And if it is anything other than a big rock, then we're gonna do this stuff down below. So we are going to change it into a big rock because it was not a big rock because we already checked if it's a big rock and it's not a big rock at this point. We're going to change it to a big rock and then we're going to move it off screen so that it can then move back onto the screen later. So we're not actually destroying or creating any of these, which is interesting. Yes, sweetheart. Okay, let me get you there. That was a pretty quick swap there, kiddo.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to pick one of these? Pick one of these. I haven't seen that one. I don't know what that is. Flippy's Adventures. We can do Emily's Wonderland. I'd love if you did Emily's Wonderland. Right on. So if it gets set to 100, right? Also, I wonder why this line is red instead of green over here. So, okay. If value is set to negative 100, so it's going to move like way off screen. Negative 100 is over here. We have our ruler up here. So this is 0, 0, negative 100x. It will get moved off. And then I would imagine it would still maintain everything that is in the step, right? That it will continue to wrap around the room. It will continue to rotate. We don't have movement on there. Where did we set movement? Ah, on creation.
Wake up.
You want it brighter? Like that? You want it? Okay. What do you say, Ellie? You're so welcome, sweetie. Okay. All right. So it still has speed, still has the direction and image angle at random. So will this mean that when we destroy a rock, it's always going to start right here and then move in a random direction? That seems strange because that means that like only this many angles would have the rock come back onto the screen. I'm gonna run it. And this is an important thing to do when you're learning how to program is logic it out in your head. Oh no, wrong number of oh, wait. We should call it instant copy. True. Got true, expected, parentheses. Ah. Because I have these parentheses here, which he does not. And now, why did I have those? Did that happen? Yep. Okay, so the autocomplete put them in. So could I put in true there and no argument? Yes. Looks like I can. Whoops. So we got a bug, a crash. Invalid call target at object rock collision 1 bullet line 44 instance copy true. Okay, so it's compiling, it's running, but it's not working. So let's change it to be the way it is in his example. Let's see if that fixes it. Yes, perfect. So we create those copies. Oh, and because they're being newly created, they get a new direction and angle. Okay. And we have it so that the small rocks are getting blasted. They're losing. So what happens if I just knock out all these big rocks? They're all going to come in from up here. Let's clear off some of these rocks. Oh, this is interesting. Why are the small rocks not breaking? They used to, right? Am I going crazy? Didn't the first ones we blow up actually get blown up? Yeah, it totally did. They are. Oh, I think I know what's going on. I think what's happening is when we blow up so many big rocks, we are checking if this is less than 12. And at some point, it's not less than 12 because we've blown up so many of these big rocks and they copy. So really, this should be an addition. There should be an additional if in here to say, similarly, if there are... No, that shouldn't matter. I was going to say there should be another check in here if there's less than 12 rocks, but that wouldn't matter. In order for it to copy itself. Because you always want that consistent behavior to happen, because you don't want to, like, have people game it where they get to 11 small rocks and one big rock and they only ever hit the big rock. And it should be destroying up here. And it's doing the explosion even when they don't go. So what was happening there? So let's just blow up a ton of rocks. Let's see what we can make happen here. Yeah, and now it's not happening. With the same object, so destroying other object should still be working, and it clearly works to a certain degree. So why does it stop? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so we've got more than 12 rocks on screen at a time. But that shouldn't matter. The only thing that this would prevent us from doing is getting like 30 big rocks, getting an exponentially larger amount of big rocks every single time we blew up a small rock. It's less than, but like it should still be getting destroyed, is what I'm not understanding. The destroy instance should still be going off. That is a very strange bug. I'm curious if we'll get that fixed if we keep on going with the tutorial.
Send it outside the room so it can re-enter again as a new rock. Only we know it's not really a new rock instance, but the player doesn't know that. Now finally at the end, I'm going to add another else, and this will run if both of the previous conditions are false, meaning the rock is small and there are already 12 rocks in the room. So in that case, we just destroy the instance. So it just...
There we go. That's what we were running into. So how do I... Oh, we do want this here. All right, because you can't have two else's. You need, that would be an else if instead. So you can't attach those two together. So of course this is all doing things the right way. So then what we want is destroy instance. Hooked right in there. Okay. Anything else? Probably not.
And doesn't respawn or...
So, okay, so I need to shore up my logic here. If there are more than 12 rocks, then it collides with the bullet. It runs this file. It goes through and destroys the instance and does the effect and everything. Why do we need another destroy here? Is this going to be self or other?
Do anything else. Okay, so that was a large event, but we got through it. You can...
Okay, so it's self. It's destroy self. Why does the object change from being other to self at some when there's more than 12 rocks on the screen? And it clearly looks like we're doing good. We getting more big rocks? Yeah, we're getting some more. And what's weird is the big rocks are coming in randomly from random locations. How are they doing that? How are they coming in from random locations? Boy, what is the logic that's happening here? They're getting created. We're getting a random number in direction. Is it not radially outward? It's radially in? Is that what that is? GameMaker reference. HTML code reference. Direction. No? Okay. What is direction? It's a built-in variable. Are you going to be organized like they are? No, of course not. Why would you be? Why would you? Movement? Direction. That's certain built-in properties you can use instead to govern how they behave. Direction is one of those properties. It can be used to determine the direction, set the direction of movement of the instance when the instance has a speed other than 0. Oh, that's good to know. Note that directions in GameMaker are usually calculated as 0 degrees being right, 90 up, 180 left, 270 down, sure. And that the gravity and gravity direction variables can modify the direction and they're used in your games. So direction returns single precision floating point value, sure. Example, if direction plus equals 5 and minus equals 5. So which is, and that's what we did at the very beginning of this whole experience. So it would be direction relative to itself. Right? Ooh, boy. It would be direction relative to itself. So we're saying direction between 0 and 360, so it can pick any degree all the way up in any of those 360 degree angles, and it will rotate in different angles. I get that that's what these do. What I don't understand is how is it coming in at random points on the screen? How is it? I mean, it wouldn't be in object bullet. It would have to be in create. For some reason, okay, so that's set up. These were in the same spots as they are in the room that I set up. So this guy comes out here. He should be coming up here. No. They're coming in at random angles. Why are they coming in at random angles? Are they? Let's see what this guy does. We should have something coming out about here. Okay, yeah, no, so they're not random angles. We have 5 coming in this side, so we should have 5 coming out this side. Yeah, they're not random angles. It is just wrapping. So then when I destroy it, how is it that they are... Yeah, now we have stuff coming out over here. Is that... Is it wrapping? Is that what's happening? So they're like off here to the side. So like, okay, if we jump over here, if let me use draw on desktop. All right, I need to find a way to draw on screen. Pen menu. No. Okay. I don't know. I'll figure it out. The assumption I have is that it's at -100. And because it is then instantly moving in a random direction, it will pick one of those directions. Let's say it picks 0, pure right. It'll just come in straight to the side. It could also pick 90, in which case it would go up, and then the game would say, cool, you're gonna wrap now. Let's slap you down here, and then you can start moving up. And then if it's like 45, it'll start moving diagonally up. Because another thing to note is we're not setting Y, we're only setting X. So, okay, so, and then if it's, the angle is going in the other direction, it's going over here, then it would wrap and start over here along any number of those angles. That's my guess as to how that's happening.
You can now run the game and destroy the rocks and basically keep playing forever because the rocks keep respawning. That is our second step finished, and we have a fun and playable game. The problem is that the player can never lose. So what we need to work on is the collision between the player and the rock and how that defeats the player. Let's go back into the player objects and here add a collision event with the rock. So when the player collides with a rock, this is the event that runs.
Okay. So we're going back to the
Player
player.
objects and here add a collision event with the rock. So when the player collides with a rock, this is the event.
Yet another reason why having one rock instance is great, because now you can collect all of the behavior in one rock object instead of having to duplicate this for big and small rocks. Now, if you wanted to have different behaviors, if you hit a big rock or a small rock, you know, like a small rock only damaged you, a big rock killed you, then you would have to split it up. But if you're not doing that, this is how you keep it simple. I'm getting it.
That runs. In the event, let's first create a firework effect above all objects at the player's location. It'll be a medium-sized effect, and then we destroy the player instance itself. Finally, after destroying the player, we're going to set an alarm. So that'll be alarm 0, and we are setting it to 120. This means that the alarm 0 event will run 120 frames after this event running.
Okay, now alarms are something I don't understand. I'm out of my depth here. So let's see what happens here.
So that's 2 seconds. But this by itself, after this event running, so that's 2 seconds. But this by itself won't work because we are destroying the player, and an instance that doesn't exist can't run an alarm. So instead we apply this to obj game, and that object is going to run the alarm for us. Now when the alarm event does run, we want the game to restart, so let's open obj game. Here let's add the alarm 0 event, and in the event, let's...
Okay. So we're saying on the game object, this hidden object that we have just invisibly in the background, keep track of 2 seconds after the player dies. And once the player dies, do this. Or 2 seconds after the player dies, once that alarm goes off, do this. Okay.
Let's run this function.
So an alarm is kind of like a time-based... it's a time-based trigger. So you're not going to say, like... you're not going to do, like, an event listener. You're not doing, if time passed is greater than or equal to 2, do this. This is how you deal with time-based things. Okay.
To restart the room. This should do it, but it won't work right now because obj game isn't actually in the room. So let's open the room, make sure the instances layer is selected, and then place obj game in the room. It doesn't matter where you put it, it just needs to be in the room. So run the game, run into a rock, you will lose, and 2 seconds later, the room will restart.
Oh, there we go. We are getting the stuff.
So we now have a game loop. You can play, you can lose, you can play again, and so on. And we're at a point where you can say that the game is finished. But it's actually not that rewarding because you can't see how many rocks you've destroyed. So before we finish off the video for good, let's quickly add a score system. Let's open obj game and here add the create event.
Okay, so we're going back to OBJ game, and we're going to create... When OBJ game is created, are we going to put, like, a score counter? Is there, like, a text? Draw value, draw the specified value. Set font, get draw font. The font used for all text drawing. Set text alignment. Get text alignment. Okay. Interesting.
Here let's create a variable called points and set it to 0. Now before we increase this
Gotcha.
value when you destroy a rock, let's make sure that this is drawn on the screen. So go ahead and add the draw GUI event. This is
The draw GUI event? What? Hold on. Well, I missed the premise here. What are we doing?
now before we increase this value when you destroy a rock, let's make sure that this is drawn on the screen. So go ahead and add the draw GUI event.
I'm curious why we're not just drawing it in the create. Yeah, I'm curious what the difference is between create and draw GUI.
This is where you can draw anything directly to the screen, so it acts like a HUD. So I'll use this function to draw the points value to the screen at 10 by 10. So in the game, it'll appear on screen, but we haven't programmed it to change yet. For that, let's go into obj rock and open its collision event with obj bullet. This is where you destroy
Okay.
a rock, so it makes
Stop. Okay. Let me see here. So we do have our little point counter up there. It's not going to do anything. Cool. All right, so we're going to go back to our rock with bullet. And then I'm imagining that in these two instances, we're going to assign a variable of... Are we going to have to do it in all three of them to increment points by 1? Points equals points plus plus, points equals plus 1.
sense that you would also get the score here. So here let's add this to increase the points variable by 50 to give the player some score.
It's just debugging that 50.
But of course, this variable was not created in the rock object. It was created in obj game. That object owns this variable, so we're going to mention the name of that object before the variable itself, and this is how we can actually change that variable. And that should do it. Run the game, and when you destroy a rock, you get some score that you can see up here. When you lose, the score resets and you start again from 0. And with that...
Okay, hold on. I'm missing something. Relative. That's what I'm missing. Got it. Okay. Cool. 50's dumb. Down with point inflation. Okay. Right on. Look at that. We've kind of made a game here. So, okay, so there's no way to slow down. Okay, so I guess that's classic Asteroids, right? It's your only way to change your momentum is to impart momentum into the opposite direction. Okay. All right. Cool.
So we're going to mention the name of that object before the variable itself, and this is how we can actually change that variable. And that should do it. Run the game, and when you destroy a rock, you get some score that you can see up here. When you lose, the score resets and you start again from 0. And
oh wait, I need to verify that that's what mine does too, that score resetting. Okay, so we've got score, and it resets. Okay. Yes, sweetie? Yes, hello? Oh, did you turn it off? Oh, can you give me that pen, please? I just knocked it down. Okay. Thank you so much, Ellie. I am getting really close to being done, and then we'll go clean up, okay? You want a marble run? Okay. Oh, but don't climb up though, okay, sweetie? Okay, as long as you're right there, that should be fine. Okay. Should we do this one? Well, we don't want to do these ones. Those are shorts, and I'm going to take more than 60 seconds.
This is great.
Should we do this one? It's really cool. I think I need you to show it to me then, when we're all done with this. I want to see what you think is really cool. All right, here you go. You are so welcome.
And with that, our game is completely finished. You can now go in and change any of the values that we entered, or change any of the sprites to make this game your own. Now to share your game with your friends on GX Games, watch this video. And to make your first multiplayer game in 15 minutes, watch this one. And I will see you in the next video.
There we go. Hey, we made a very simple Asteroids game. I do want to, okay, I'm gonna do some extra credit here. I want to find a way to space out the bullets. Set speed to 10, 2 inputs. Object.player.image underscore angle. Okay. So we're making speed and direction, but that's not really where it's getting created. We want step. And what's curious to me is like, what does step really mean? Because if we're like if we're checking for mouse clicks and stuff on this, like why are we not doing a mouse left down? Like I wonder if we could rebuild this to have a mouse left down, create instance. It seems weird to me that it's being in the stepper. So if mouse down, create instance. So how do we like delay this? How do we delay this check? Really is what we're. Can we do like a wait? What happens if we do an alarm? And count down to like 10. That's a sixth of a second. And then we can say if, and then we'll, if alarm and we're gonna set this to alarm 1. I wish we could give that a name. Is equal to 0. Okay, let's try that out. Let's see what happens. I have completely broken it. Wonderful. Okay, so if alarm, can I pass it an argument? No. No, we can't. Okay. So then I think we need to oh. Can I undo? Yeah. So I'm trying to think, how do I structure this so that we can have that alarm countdown in there? It is checking the alarm, because so far the only way I have seen to do this is get the countdown of an alarm. So what happens if I do this? Oops. Get alarm countdown. Alarm is 1. And then target is what? Can shoot. And then I can declare another variable way up at the top here on create. Yeah, I don't really know what the step does. So let's assign a variable can shoot. Jeez. Okay. Variable value of 1. It's gonna start at 1. And then step. I guess step might be the shorthand for like player input. This is what each control does. So if alarm countdown, I don't know what temp is or what the target is doing. if alarm get 1 is equal to 0, then make a bullet, and then start a new countdown. And then theoretically we should be able to get rid of that. Nope. So if variable can shoot, man, I really want tab to do the autocomplete, is equal to 1, then proceed forward and shoot. So what if we put another if in here? This is getting really silly. There's probably a much, much, much better way to do this. Coding is such an art form and being able to do things simply, and you can very much tell I am not really there. If alarm get index and count. Oh no, that's set. If alarm get of 1 is equal to 0, then set can shoot to 1. Oh, just do it. Just finish the line when I press tab instead of enter. Okay. So that's setting it to can shoot. And if can shoot is equal to 1, it will shoot. And then at the end of that, we set can shoot to 0. No, it's broken. Unexpected symbol. An expression. At this one? What? Malformed assignment. Set can shoot to 0. Why is that a problem? Do I do that? Why? Oh, is that because it's like assigning a variable, not like... No. Assign variable can shoot to 0. Why is that a problem? Okay, is there somewhere else I can put this? No, we need we need it to be inside of the is shoot can shoot if. Man. Why? Well, okay. Let's delete. Can I comment you out? Okay, that's like adding an actual comment. That's not what I wanted. Disable. There we go. Let's see what happens here. Still not working. Okay. Right. Got it. Oh. So it's not compiling now for some other reason. Unexpected. See, it keeps taking me down here, but I don't know if that's like actually correct. Because, I mean, this stuff didn't have a problem before. Is this just a problem with the visual language? What happens if we convert it to GML? I see. Yep, it was a problem. Okay. So we get 1 bullet per run. So why? Clean this up a little bit. Can shoot equals 0. Alarm set. So if alarm get of alarm 1 equals 0, set can shoot to 1. And check if... Oh, do I have to like click? No, no. Clicking lots of times isn't helping. I was wondering if like, is this the thing where it will just run that check once? It won't continuously check if you have it held down. So this is not working. I want to write to the GUI that value. Where do I have my GUI? In object game. And then I also want to draw alarm. Alarm get 1. 20, 20. And then I also want to do can shoot. Goodness. Okay. Now, it probably won't be able to tell all that, so I probably need to do an object underscore player dot can shoot, right? And same over here? Wow, it actually built. So, okay, so let's reset everything. Oh, and we die. And the game crashes. So what is it being initialized to? Can shoot is -1? Can shoot. Okay, so value is not being helpful. I just want to like put a text label in front of it just to make sure. Oh, okay. So this is why I wanted to draw that clarifying label. Because I want to make sure I was looking at the right thing, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't. I was looking at the third number, not the first number. Now, it should be the third number. So this 1 should change to a 0 when I click, which it does. But then the timer doesn't go. The timer, the alarm doesn't go. So how do we do this? Let me go back here. I need alarm. Time sources? Oh. This is different. Time source. Let's see. Alarm? No, nothing. Where is the alarm in here? Instances. I would not have picked that out. So then maybe it's about asset management? No. General game control? No. Variable functions? No. I mean, it wouldn't be arrays, right? This is how you know you're desperate, is you just start going through everything. Structures. Okay, you know what? There's more than one way. GameMaker alarm. There we go. One-dimensional array? No. Oh, this would be nice. Asset management, instances, instance variable. No, I was never going to find that. Okay. So what does alarm do? Alarms are counted down at the start of each step, after the begin step event, but before the main step event. So that's something I need to learn about. What is the begin step? What is the main step? What is the structure here? Before anything is rendered for the frame. This means that if you set an alarm to 1 in the begin step event, its event will run in that same frame as the alarm will be counted down to 0. Oops. Did you touch it? All right. Yeah. Here you go. There you go, sweetie. Thank you for being so patient. This is being harder than I thought it was going to be. In the begin step event, its event will run in that same frame as the alarm will be counted down to 0 after begin step has finished. But if you set an alarm to 1 in the step event, it will run in the next frame. So are there events of like step, begin step? Oh! Okay. I don't know when I would use begin or end step over a normal step, but that is very interesting. Okay. So we are setting an alarm. Let's redo this. Alarm 1. Alarm set 1. Okay. Can I, like, do I have to declare this alarm as something that exists first? No. Because we have this. Like, what is the value? -1 if the alarm isn't running. And I think we saw that, right? It's, yeah, so it's not running. So it's at -1. And it never runs. It never starts. Okay. You can set the alarm array directly and retrieve the current alarm value directly by using the array too, but under some circumstances, this is not the most appropriate method. So you can also use the function alarm set to set an alarm and the function alarm get to get the value of an alarm. Above code checks a variable, and then if it is true, checks for a key press. And if that is true, it finally sets a variable to false. Sets an alarm where it will be set to true again, and creates an instance. Yes, sweetie? Okay, can you just keep watching this one for a little bit longer? You can't? Don't climb up, please. Okay, look over here. Which one? Pick one. Pick one, please. Ellie? Pick one, please.
Does have a bubble in it.
Now, what do you say, Ellie?
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. So, sets the variable to false, sets an alarm where it will be set to true again, and creates an instance. Like, I think this is exactly the use case. Yeah, if can shoot, if keyboard check pressed, VK space, current can shoot equals false. So this is all like a lot of what I am already doing, but in a simpler way. Instance create layer XY, and they have their own layer of bullets, object bullet. So alarm 1 equals game get speed, game speed FPS. So what? I mean, let's just try it. Alarm 1. Like, what happens if we just do that? Play. It probably won't run, right? Yeah. Alarm at 1 equals, what, 10? Will that just assign it? Okay. But it's still not running. Why is... Okay, so let's... I mean, let's copy this in. It probably won't do anything, right? I'm sure it will not work. Okay. It's just good data to have. Now, why is the alarm just straight up not running ever? Does it need to happen over here? Is it an order of operations sort of thing? Oops.
Hey, Daddy, look at it.
No, it's
It
not.
has
It has a robot?
Yeah.
So, okay, so presumably it is getting to that point. So we can do alarm alarm set 1, 10. Which should theoretically be the same thing as that line up above it, right? Yeah, still not working. Why? Why does the alarm not set?
Daddy, these are really loud.
Well, sorry, sweetie, we can't do any louder for a little bit, okay? What happens if I do that? You are 30 or you're 50, 30, 70. Thank you for your patience, sweetheart. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. We'll have it done here pretty soon. Ooh. So we got a crash. Draw text, can shoot plus. Okay. How strange. Stuff is crashing. Whoa. Draw text, string object player, can shoot plus empty text. I'm assuming that's value. String 10. String object underscore player dot can shoot. How strange. Okay, so what if we disable you? We're not going to show the can shoot. We're just trying to see, like, how do the timers function? So that one works. That one works just fine. But my timer is not working. What is happening here? Collide with rock, set alarm, countdown, convert to GML code, alarm set 0120. Ha! Blippi is not a robot. You are so right.
Hans is a robot.
Oh, yeah?
Robot in
It's true.
Hans.
Hans? His name is Hans? Okay. So, if I do this right, what should happen is after I shoot, a sixth of a second later, the game will restart. It is not. It's still not running. Why? It's the same thing. Okay, I'm just gonna copy the whole line. Is it? No, it's not a semicolon thing. Because this one had a semicolon. Is that not the same exact line? It's the same thing. Reference to non-existent event alarm 0. What do you mean? No. I thought I figured it out, but I don't think that I did. What happens in here? Just on alarm 0, restart. Okay, so then maybe the solution then is not add event alarm 1. We will assign can shoot to 1. And we will get rid of that. Oh! Hey! I figured it out! I got it working!
Wow! I'm going upstairs.
Okay, you go have fun upstairs. I'll be up in just a minute. Why is that working? And why is the timer not like, what? Okay, so let's go to object, game, draw a GUI. Why is that not showing it? I don't know. Let's delete these. Let's enable this guy. Play. Okay. Was the problem that it was going too quickly? I have no idea. No freaking clue. Not a single idea, but it works. We have a functioning Asteroids game with a cooldown timer. So that was the first time trying to learn how to do a cooldown timer. That's fun. First time doing all that stuff. That was great fun. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you had a great time. I gotta go help a little girl clean her room. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see you next time.